Freestyle the news.
Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know.
Put it down, who you picking up? Put up a lead, you know we had to go switch it up. Go like Simone, we flipping that 2021. They keep on talking that shit without doing nothing and suddenly start to give a fuck now. Oh my god, wow. Last gram standing, now we gotta crash out. Tell his buddy he gon' probably have to fuck a new couch. Tell the money we gon' run until they gotta shut down. What now? Like, there goes the tour, there goes the jobs. There goes the brat, there goes the slob. There goes the cop, there goes the mob. There goes the votes, there goes the odds. Here come the bombs. Like, oh! Tell me what you expect. I just take what I get. They say me is a threat. I said what I said. Like, oh, I don't need your respect. Yeah, you say I'm a threat. I said what I said. I said what I said. I said what I said, bitch. Another fire, you can feel it in the summer heat. Another bucket like I'm Katie on another 3. Pentagon bailing BB out another beef. Mad the Rock don't have a money back guarantee. Another hour-long video on Mr. Beast. Some more drama you been ginning up for half a week. Anti-cancel culture trying to cancel Charlie out his reach. Trying to Cody Ko him out in secret while you try to stream. Everybody out here really playing teams. You don't give a fuck about boxing. You just trying to take a heavy swing at anything to push this whole agenda you've been trying to bring. Citing out the shittiest organization in the ring of boxing. Quantify it. You and all those fuckers back in the Maduro diet. Posted up on X supplying half of all the fucking bias. Now we building camps and I'm watching these fuckers say they from the left but trying to justify it. Crazy. Fumble like a Starbucks stop. Shout out to protests in Bangladesh. Hit that block. These motherfuckers went birther on a mixed race plot. Thinking they got it in the bag till that old man dropped. And now let's go to see reforms on the bribes they got. And we finally got the journals with a prisoner swap. I'm trying to keep it optimistic when I hit that cause. They think the pick is obvious, but I see writings on the walls like, oh, tell me what you expect. I just take what I get. They say me is a threat. I said what I said. Like, oh, I don't need your respect. Go ahead, cut me my check. Me is a threat. I said what I said. I said what I said. Like, oh, tell me what you expect. I just take what I get. They say me is a threat. I said what I said. Like, oh, now I don't need your respect. Go ahead, cut me my check. Say me is a threat. I said what I said. I said what I said, bitch. Yeah. Too soon. I am slowly but surely recovering. The COVID has subsided substantially, and I'm playing copious amounts of Elden Ring, so that's a good thing. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching Freestyle the News. If you like what you heard, please resurrect that long dormant like button whose actor was said to have retired but then actually changed his mind, and then go with him on a multiversal romp where you realize the power of friendship, where you cameo, cuss, and fight a lot, and then end up grossing millions and millions of dollars, thereby resurrecting the narrative multi-cinematic universe that you've been trying to build this whole fucking time. And then leave a comment on your favorite bar. Finally saw Deadpool and Wolverine. Had a blast. Really, really cool flick. I have a lot to catch up on. I know My Hero Academia just ended. I'm trying to actually catch up on Elden Ring. I'm trying to just relax after Evo, man. Like this whole album process was a ton of work, and so I'm just trying to recuperate my senses. But the world is insane, and we have to deal with all of the news that keeps coming out. But look, I'm happy to be back. Happy to have you guys with me. But that's enough about that. Let's jump into this breakdown. And we got a lot of different stories to talk about. Like, honestly, the last few weeks have been crazy in the zeitgeist of what this year is. So let's just jump right into it, and let's start with the Olympics. The Olympics appearance have been a pretty big draw over the last couple of weeks, and despite a giant weird culture war controversy over the opening ceremony, there have been a lot of amazing stories that have come out of the games this year. Starting off, we gotta talk about the Dream Team Part 2. This is one of the most stacked American basketball rosters I have ever seen. LeBron, Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards, fucking Bam Adebayo. And if you've never really watched basketball, but you've heard those stories of like how crazy the Dream Team was in the 90s, go ahead and turn on one of the last 2 games they had against Serbia or South Sudan, and you will see them working at an insane level. Like, some of these plays are just incredible. This is a stacked roster, and they're only getting better as time goes on, as they get their chemistry up. And look, the international teams are no slouch either. South Sudan had some incredible defense over in that third quarter. But again, just some of the most incredible like basketball plays you're going to see. It's an amazing time to watch. I would definitely tune in. Also, some cool little social stories, like, for example, Anthony Edwards from the basketball team going over to watch the US table tennis team play. There have been a lot of really great comeback stories. For example, Shcarri Richardson. Shcarri Richardson, if you didn't know, was disqualified during the 2021 Tokyo Olympics because they found THC in her system, which is a fucking stupid reason to be disqualified with as talented as she is. But she is back again, and honestly, she is making it look easy. Watching her run in front of the pack so comfortably, so determined and focused, it's amazing. Look, all of that's incredible, but there are two major stories that were kind of dominating the headlines this week. One kind of dark and one more inspiring. So let's start off with the darker one so we can have a nice ending, shall we? So first up is Angela Carini and Imane Khelif from Italy and Argentina, respectively. Carini and Khelif are two female boxers. They met in the ring last week, and after Carini took a pretty intense swing 30 seconds into the match, she went to her corner to fix her headgear, came back to resume for a little bit, and then went back and ended the fight. Now, Carini said she withdrew due to the pain she experienced from Khelif's opening punches, and she didn't end up shaking Khelif's hand in the moment because she was so upset. But more so than that, it came out that the Russian-led IBA carried out tests last year that said that Khelif failed to meet the eligibility criteria for participating in the women's competition as set and laid out by IBA regulation. Now, it should be noted before we go any further that Imane Khelif was born female. She is a cisgendered female. She's been competing in competitions as a cisgender woman for years, including the Olympics in 2021. She's actually lost in the past to other female athletes as well. But that didn't stop every fucking grifter and dipshit online going, why is a man playing in women's sports? Every dumb fuck whose smooth brain malfunctioned over the weekend, including this fucking hack who wrote Naruto but less interesting with more anti-Semitic arc, decided to weigh in with their stupid fucking opinion. Could any picture sum up our new men's rights movement better? The smirk of a male who knows he's protected by a misogynist sporting establishment, enjoying the distress of a woman he's just punched in the head and whose life's ambition he's just shattered. Yo, shut the fuck up, you idiot. This got so bad, the IOC had to clarify that yes, Khelif was indeed born female. We'll get to the DSD in a second, but I just want to let everybody know also, the IBA, which by the way has been banned from the Olympics since 2019 because they're shady as fuck and are no longer recognized by the International Federation of Boxing. Their decision on this has been recognized as sudden and arbitrary. They have also released absolutely no testing methodology or any of the results in any significant manner. It is speculated that Imane is said to have been disqualified over an XY chromosome or elevated testosterone, which does not make her male or necessarily intersex, which suddenly people are now fucking arguing that having an extra XY chromosome, specifically in this instant, makes you biologically a man. That is literally not how fucking science works, despite what dumb fuck J.K. Rowling wants to link in her little fucking single sheet that she has there. Now listen, people have speculated, because again, the test results have not been released, that Khelif has developmental sex difference, people who are born with chromosomes but genitalia and biology that do not match that. Now that everybody's moving the fucking goalpost, right, on what they now consider, now they're moving it again so they can suit their bullshit culture war agenda. In case you're not fucking following and your brain doesn't work like these fucking idiots, just letting you know, Carini herself apologized to Khelif. Do you understand? The boxer you are supposedly defending doesn't fucking agree with you. She came out in a statement saying it wasn't a political statement. She was just upset that her Olympics had ended so abruptly. And if she could, she would embrace Khelif right now. And I find it really hilarious that J.K. Rowling, the person who supposedly thinks of herself as this paragon, this amazingly brilliant author, right, who fucking made Harry Potter and did all this stuff and is so ahead of everybody on feminism, is siding with fucking Ryan Garcia, right? The guy who went on X the other day and drank a bunch, said the N-word a bunch of times, who also cheated in boxing. Just letting everybody know that. The amount of misinformation here is just fucking staggering. And look, I mentioned this on the Leftist Mafia like a couple of days ago when I was on, is that these people say they care about competition and they don't. I know it's like not surprising to a lot of people, but it just, that's something that just infuriates me so much. Do you understand? Like, I work in competitive fields, right? Competition is hard. It takes work. It takes ethic. These are all of the things these fucking grifters who want to project strength and all of that shit want to portray, and they don't know the first fucking thing about competition. Not at all. Because as soon as it's turned against them, they find every little thing to suit their cultural bullshit about why it's not fair or why they lost. They don't like competition, like the easy fucking way out. And if you do have a fucking problem with it, where were you in 2021? Where were you when all of like Imane's losses happened to other women? Suddenly it's a problem? Suddenly it's a problem. When the most dubious fucking boxing organization, do you understand how dubious you have to be? Like, boxing itself is fucked up and corrupt and has so many issues, right? Do you know how fucking corrupt the IBA has to be to have the distinction it has and the disgrace it has over the years it's operated? Like, I'm not fucking kidding you. I'm so tired of these Twitter armchair losers who accomplished fucking nothing but act like they have expertise because their dumbass can't get up and actually do something worth a fuck. So this has to occupy. I fucking hate these people. I despise them. And if you're one of them, I don't really care. I do more than you. Like, fuck off. And just to illustrate my point, let's end with Simone Biles. Oh, let's please end with Simone Biles. Just to show all these dumb fucks what they are. In 2021, Simone Biles dropped out of the US gymnastics competition, specifically because she wasn't in the right headspace and she was doing some of the most difficult gymnastics ever recorded. Right after her vault, which looked very troubled and wobbly and all over the place, where she said she got the twisties, she got lost where she was in the air. That's incredibly dangerous. She dropped out. And every one of these cunts bitching about Imane and all of this shit over the last couple of weeks had something to say at the side of their fucking mouth. All of them talking up a big game. Oh, she's not a real athlete. You know, she's not really about competition. She wussed out. Blah, 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 blah. Shut the oh my God. A bunch of other shit people who've accomplished nothing would obviously say. And guess what, you pusses, all right? Simone Biles came back 4 years later, like now, she's back here and she just won the all-around gymnastics gold, performing some of the most difficult gymnastics ever recorded. Period. She led her team to victory. She's also much older, like more so than the average gymnastics star would be at this point. And she's still the best gymnast in the world. She is crushing it with a fucking gold medal. Her team had a gold medal. Somebody else in the all-around gymnastics from the US also made the podium. So again, keep your culture war bullshit. Go to your fucking uncle's house who also does nothing so you guys can have beers together and bitch while you guys do nothing with your lives. I'm so fucking tired. I am so tired about people who make their own inadequacy everyone else's problem, right? I am all for everybody having agency and being able to do cool shit and believing in each other. But if you're fucking talking out the side of your mouth like that with your fucking armchair because you want to feel good about yourself, fuck you, little bitch. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. I have no respect for those people. I have no respect for those people. Even the DSD shit, that's just so fucking wild. Like how much you're moving the goalpost. Whatever you can to justify your bullshit. And even when it's pointed out to them, they try to double down like, no, it's because of this, it's because of that. Look, you didn't have a problem with it a year ago. You now all of a sudden have a problem with it. All right? You're fucking sensitive and being a bitch. Grow the fuck up. Grow up. We have other shit to deal with, you child. A lot of motherfuckers talking tough with nothing to back it up. Now, let's move on to something that we haven't really gotten to talk about reasonably at length like we'd want to. Wildfire season. It is wildfire season in California. You know that season that comes along every year, kind of like Christmas, only with, you know, the smell of ash in the air. But honestly, climate change has made, especially the wildfires over the last few years, very, very difficult to deal with. And this year's variant, like a Marvel movie, is the Park Fire. The fire started in Chico, California, and has burned more than 389,700 acres and is already one of the largest wildfires in California history. Even more so, the reason for the fire isn't because of brush or anything, it's actually because of arson, which is
fucking insane. The culprit is Ronnie Dean Stout II, the supposed arsonist who is now being charged. Dude was also apparently drunk when he started this whole fucking thing. And look, like I said, the dryness of the climate is just adding to this whole thing. It's experienced rapid growth due to that, as well as the winds. Now, as of this recording, the winds have been a little bit more tame and less frustrating, but later this week, probably around when you're gonna see this episode, it's said to have another batch of really warm and dry weather for all of this to get way worse. Now, obviously, this is damaging to the communities around the park fire, but there's another side to it, especially with everything that's getting burned, things that you may not even think of, like drinking water. So about 65% of the US drinking water comes from forested areas. And when fires burn in these areas, they can release toxins and bad chemicals into the water supply. Wildfires can severely damage water infrastructure in that way. Also, and I'm getting this from a Washington Post article, legacy mining waste that was previously covered by stuff like revegetation can get exposed, and all of a sudden you got stuff like arsenic and lead in the water itself. Not to mention PVC pipes and other specific infrastructure that gets damaged very easily by extreme heat, like a wildfire. And look, all these other kind of adverse offshoot effects scientists are starting to study and draft a playbook for different places to be able to deal with these sort of impacts when they occur. But look, the park fire doesn't seem like it's immediately going down. It's gonna take a second before we can get it under control, but crews are working around the clock in these very difficult conditions. And look, if you're worried about water, look, I know we've had a lot of very specific infrastructural problems with water in the US over the last decade or so. Hi, Flint. Water issues even here in California. I feel like Erin Brockovich has like a full cinematic universe being laid at her feet right now. But there are a lot of ways to make sure your drinking water is clean before you consume it. One of the most popular ways is reverse osmosis. You can get different machines that can help purify the water before you drink it. I'm actually going to turn you on to one of them right now, one by Simpure, who's actually ended up sponsoring today's show. So these things are pretty great when it comes to making sure your water and the water around you is clean. They're tested and certified, and like I said, they're great for removing PFAS chemicals, heavy metals, chlorine, a lot of the other issues in tap water in general. It's got a UV protection system too, which destroys about 99.99% of bacteria, germs, and microorganisms. And look, I got one of these. It's not an insane installation process, right? You just plug it in and very quickly you're enjoying purified, clean water. Good for apartments, camping, offices, RVs if you have an RV. Plus it's eco-friendly and cost-effective. It's like a Super Saiyan Blue Brita filter. It's like Brita Gear 5 if you're a nerd like me. In general, look, I know these can get pricey, but Simpure ended up throwing me a code, and you can actually enter it in on Amazon or on their main website to get their Y9 purifier, which significantly cuts down the cost there. You're getting it pretty much around 50% of what it would cost. So again, if you want to drink cleaner water and you want something that's gonna do much better than just a traditional Brita filter, Simpure is the way to go. Use the code, go to Amazon or their main website, get 44% off their Y9 purifier, and have some peace of mind. That being said, please, let me know what you think in the comments about the park fire, if you're near the park fire, if you know anybody affected by the park fire. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. All right, last but not least, let's talk about Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has had a whirlwind of a last couple of weeks. This whole election has completely been flipped on its ear. Like, I am not kidding. This is some of the most insane political development I've ever seen in my lifetime. And at this point, not only has she tied the race nationally, she has pulled ahead in multiple polls, including swing state polls. Now, these are only by like 1 to 3 points on average, but listen to me when I say this. You have a lot of forecasts jumping her probability from 33% to 44%, which is essentially a fucking toss-up. Compare this back to a few weeks ago when Biden was floundering and every fucking Twitter egg was just like, no, you're not. Stop calling him old. A lot of those people have changed their tune, and I think maybe a few of them should probably humble themselves a little bit. But I mean, look, enthusiasm is enthusiasm. And meanwhile, you have Trump going and doing shit like this.
You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. Why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you?
Cool. That's Donald Trump at the NABJ, the National Association of Black Journalists. Just shitting the bed, just kind of like how JD Vance finishes in a couch early. And look, let's be honest. Prior to Harris jumping into the race, this was a race that was just about fuck the other guy, right? 100% it was. even if Donald Trump has his cult of personality, he's still one of the most disliked candidates in American history. Same with Biden. Biden and Trump were the most disliked candidate. We all fucking hated this shit. Like since August, we were just like, no. And in a race where everybody's just like, yo, fuck the other guy. Everybody is disgusting. Now that the candidates have changed, Donald Trump is still just as unlikable. Okay? He didn't transform into a new person with a chiseled jaw. He's the same guy. So naturally, all of his gaffes are going to be exacerbated, especially when you have a candidate who isn't as defined like Harris. Trump cannot effectively tie a lot of Biden's issues to Harris, or he hasn't been able to. That's why he's pulling shit like this.
Always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear,
you know, you could be both, right? Like, aside from the racism and all that bullshit, this is just like bad politics, right? Like, listen, Donald Trump, even in his comeback, has tried to distance himself as much as he can from birtherism. Like, that's crackpot Donald Trump, right? And again, he's playing into his base a little bit, but that's something that he has tried decidedly to not be, is a birther. But this attack feels very birtherist, right? Like, you can't be mixed race. What the fuck? Or it's not even that. It's oh, you're not really black even though you're half and half. You're just using that part of, like, the assertion is so fucking absurd and insane, especially from somebody who went to fucking Howard. Kamala Harris went to Howard University, and all of this has just been backfiring like constantly on Trump. And look, Harris has a lot going for her right now, which is all leading to one question. Who's the VP? That's been the biggest question over this week. Harris's VP has attracted a lot of eyes and suitors, and there are a lot of questions and concerns that multiple factions in the Democratic Party have, making this pick very, very important. And look, we do have some frontrunners, all of whom are being interviewed this weekend. Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, and that guy from high school you never noticed. He was right there, and you could have just talked to him, seen him for who he really was. It's too late now. He's moved on, and he's got his new wife, and he's gonna be, I'm just kidding, it's Andy Beshear or Mark Kelly. I don't want to keep going with it. It's fun. But look, while Beshear and Kelly are both strong picks, the two who have gotten some of the most pressed are honestly Walz and Shapiro. They've been the big talk of the town over like the last week and a half or so, at least over social media and honestly a lot of the press. And let's dive into them. First off, Shapiro, who's the governor of Pennsylvania. On paper, look, I'll be very honest, he makes a lot of sense. He has great net favorability in the state. He loves to talk shit. He's pretty good at talking shit. A lot of people say he has like a weird Obama-esque impression, right? But he's been pretty effective at press conferences when he's kind of combating reporters and everything. Relatively young looking, and he's from what is most likely going to be the tipping point state in this election. Pennsylvania is very important, and the margin is razor thin right now. Again, Kamala is having a bit of a moment right now, so she could continue to rack up points, but Pennsylvania is one of the most important states in this election, and so it should be a slam dunk. He also wrote this op-ed when he was like 20 years old saying that he volunteered with the IDF and the peace would not come to the Middle East and the Palestinians could not peacefully coexist or have their own capabilities in their own homeland to be successful because they were way too battle-minded. And so that's not great. But look, that's just one example, along with the one where he also compared the protesters for Gaza to the KKK and decried Ben and Jerry for their advocacy against Israel settlements in the West Bank. But you know what, like that's okay. Complex issue. Clearly, Shapiro is also accused of settling a sexual harassment case for $300,000 with his former cabinet secretary Mike Vereb and making a survivor sign a non-disclosure agreement as a part of that settlement. Fuck. Look, if we're being nuanced here, right? And I know there's a lot of messaging on Twitter and everything like that, but listen, let's just look at the facts and what's there, right? Shapiro electorally does give Harris a lot of strengths on paper, but Oppo research has started in mass, all right? And it's already doing a number on him here. And these are immediate danger spots that you have to deal with from jump if he is the pick. I think it's important to state, while morally for a lot of people it's a no-brainer, it's also a no-brainer for people thinking electorally. This is a complex thing. And look, I also know some people are gonna go, oh, it's only a very vocal online contingent on the left, and it's a vocal minority. Let's say it is a vocal minority to these people. Like, let's say you're right. The difference is the vocal minority is also a lot of the organic marketing that the Harris campaign currently has. And that organic marketing exacerbates over time. People making memes that spread like wildfire isn't nothing. Like, those memes get shared at social gatherings offline as well. People talk about it with their friends, right? We're not siloed like we were during COVID. Over time, that leads to long-term shifts in perception everywhere. Like, that's also kind of how Biden kind of got fucked a little bit. More and more people started to talk about, yo, this guy's fucking old, and the messaging wasn't keeping up. And I do also want to say, to be fair, that Shapiro has been trying to distance himself from that op-ed pretty emphatically, and I'm expecting he probably will do his best to do an about face on a lot of these things and try to move some of his positions a little bit. He has openly stated that he's not a fan of Netanyahu in the slightest, and so we'll probably lean in a little bit more into that if he does become the eventual pick. I think especially after the way Kamala positioned that press conference with Netanyahu after her statement was so poorly received, the campaign is very reticent about what that messaging around Gaza is. And they understand that Shapiro is a liability in that regard. But now here's the thing. The other pick garnering the most attention in this race is also Tim Walz. Tim Walz is having a fucking moment. He's the governor of Minnesota. He used to be a huge NRA guy until after the Parkland shooting, where his daughter came up to him and said, hey, this is kind of fucked up. And he immediately switched tactics and became one of their staunchest opponents. He went after them to try to make sure gun legislation worked. He ended up getting a trifecta in his state, and they've passed a lot of really, really meaningful stuff. He's a great chick talker, has a really great personality. He's a preferred candidate of the United Auto Workers, along with Andy Beshear. And he was also the top Democrat on the Veteran Affairs Committee. He's popular with House Democrats. He was the highest ranking enlisted soldier in Congress. And he also coined what has been probably the best line of attack over the last couple of weeks against a lot of the Republican talking points. Y'all are fucking weird. After one interview where Walz called them just plain weird, that word has specifically become something that really needles against a lot of pundits' skin. And it's been used consistently by Democratic surrogates over the last few weeks. And that kind of viral attack point is not easy to create. And it feels very, very well cultured by Walz. He just kind of did it on the fly. And honestly, him in front of camera is really strong. Walz has been handling this whole tour like a pro, saying the right things, looking affable. He's courted a lot of progressives onto his side. He seems like a little bit of a progressive darling right now, especially with the stuff he says about climate change, his allyship to the LGBTQ plus community. And look, I know a lot of progressives in my audience know this guy and probably love him. But also, it's important to say he isn't perfect either. Conservatives already have lines of attack on him, specifically after the George Floyd protests and the deployment of the National Guard. How independents feel about those specific issues that's a place where they're probably going to be attacked. By the way, he has also had a lot of anti-Israel protests show up on his lawn, has been confronted on a lot of those same issues. I will say he didn't compare any protesters to the KKK. So there is a meaningful difference there. So the severity is different. The advantages are different. The disadvantages are also different. There are a lot of different meaningful factors you're looking here when you're talking about winning on a map like this. So here's my take. Here's my take on a tier list for VP, right? I think it goes top tier Walz, high tier Beshear, Shapiro, and then Kelly, and then everybody else. Walz has a Midwestern charm, and I think he will do really well in a campaign that is so online that it's fucking terminal. I think long-term, having clips of him floating around looks good, and he cuts at JD Vance in a lot of significant ways. Not that JD Vance is doing particularly well, but all of his messaging and his ability to create viral moments like that weird one, he seems very strongly poised to attack a demographic that Kamala isn't necessarily attacking right now. Shapiro does do very well in Pennsylvania, but you have a number of things, especially over the last few days, that don't bode very well for him. And there's a very vocal contingent who is not happy with him. I assume that if he is announced, you will have a lot of kerfuffle around the time when you're trying to ramp up to a convention. And a lot of those issues, especially with the Oppo research over the last week, will get fleshed out more and will be more fodder for Republicans to try to make a pivot after Donald Trump's fucking disastrous conference. But again, Shapiro could renounce a lot of his previous rhetoric, double down on criticizing Netanyahu and make a pivot and still be incredibly popular in PA. Who knows? Who knows what will happen? I think it's going to be very close, but I also want to caution people, be very, very careful about the things you read over the next couple of days. All of these guys, there are a lot of different pressure campaigns for a VP going on right now. I read an Axios article today. The headline made it seem like Shapiro is the VP pick. But then when you actually read the article, it's like, well, we don't know. We don't know, but it would make sense. We don't know. There's no evidence. But you know, wouldn't that be cool? This is also going on for Tim Walz. It's also going on for Andy Bashir. It's also going on for Mark Kelly. There are a lot of different articles from a lot of different think pieces and a lot of different, it's like hurricane central for pressure campaigns. So look, read everything with a grain of salt. Don't evangelize everybody. These are all politicians. Remember, there are positives and negatives, even if you don't necessarily see the negatives right now. But chances are we'll probably know very, very soon. And if we know right now, and you know who it is, I'll put in a little thing here with my reaction to who it is. Also, I'll be really fucking upset that I got scooped on a Sunday at 10 a.m. But we'll see. Let me know what you think in the comments. I will also say I don't think Kamala is fucked because she makes the wrong choice here. But I also think that her momentum relies on making a reasonable choice that works well and that she can get the least pushback. I think there's going to be pushback regardless of whatever choice she makes. But there are choices with less pushback and choices with more pushback. And I don't think they're blind to that. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's our show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Go check out Too Soon Crew. Go get some merch. Anyway, my name is Tabani. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all soon. Let's go.